Hey YouTube, what's up? Hawkman312 here, and today we're building part 1 of an evil fortress. Guys, I may have gone insane, because I think I have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew with this. I mean, you guys can see how big an area we've got there, but this is something that I've wanted to do for a while now, and I just recently rewatched some of my favorite movies of all time, which is the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I was kind of inspired by Isengard from the Two Towers. And in Isengard, there's one really giant tower that Saruman lives or works or whatever the heck he does in, and then surrounded by these big holes in the ground which lead to mines and blacksmith shops and all this kind of stuff. Only I thought it was a bit dark, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to get something that looks that evil or that dark in Minecraft. So I'm just gonna do this as best as I can with it. Anyways, we're starting off with just kind of laying out what we want the walls to look like with white wool. And so I was going around our kind of island looking thing in the middle of a volcano or a bowl-shaped depression, whatever you want to call it. But we're surrounded by mountains and just jagged crags everywhere. I tried to make it look as cool as I possibly could while not making it look like it was trying too hard with the evil theme, except for the lava, which is kind of cliche and overdone. Anyways, so there are some trees, there's grass, things like that. Hopefully it'll turn out looking nice and a lot better than it does right now, as it's kind of boring and just one ring of lava. We'll fix all that later. Anyways, so when we're going around with this wall, you don't want it to be completely uniform because it just doesn't look natural and it doesn't really look as realistic or possible to actually be built. And something that you really want to stress when you're building something, if you're trying to build something realistically, don't try to keep it all uniform. You want some irregularities here and there every once in a while, just because it makes it more interesting, and because humans aren't perfect, they're not going to build anything as like a perfect circle or a perfect square and the like. So we've laid out our walls, and then here I want to lay out the main fortress building area. So like the keep of a castle maybe. And this is going to be a very kind of flat area. So here we pan around to it's not quite a circle, even though it looks like I'm laying out a circle. It's more of a rounded square when we get down to it. And I messed up here, so I go back and fix all that. But it's kind of a rounded square. And now what I was trying to do with this is, so imagine kind of this stubby, large tower about the size of what we're going with here. And then out of that, there would be one big spire sticking straight up to the heavens. So that's kind of what I'm going for with this. And then I want to surround it with maybe some smaller towers or smaller lookout points or what have you. So we don't get too much done in this episode today other than just laying things out. And that's, even though it's not the most interesting part, it's one of the most necessary parts to do when you're building. So if any of you guys are ever going to do something large like this, or just any build in general, kind of either draw it on a piece of paper or draw it in Photoshop or even paint, whatever you want to do, and just kind of get an idea of what you're doing before you jump into things. Especially if you're going to be putting a lot of time into it, you want to be happy with what you get. So here I was kind of raising up what I wanted this first story to look like, and this is going to be the big kind of rounded square, big flat main building. And then out of that center section, we're going to have the one big spire, like I've said previously. So now we finish off that section and we pan to a different shot. And this is where I wanted to go in with the kind of big hole in the ground leading down to lava and like bridges everywhere and just connecting things like a mine would be. And this is going to be one of the most ununiform parts of the entire build, because it's just going to be a sprawling spider web of mining networks underneath. And several of these holes were going to come up to the surface, and so I'm just kind of planning out where I want those to be. These aren't going to be perfect circles. I'll probably just go down with TNT and blow a couple holes in the ground and then make some cave networks and things like that. Kind of like a Swiss cheese, just mayhem to get lost in. So I was just laying out a few of these to generalize where I wanted these to go. I left some room for a few buildings off to in between those, maybe like a barracks for whatever soldiers we might have, or other, if we have any loyal subjects living under us, which isn't very likely, because we're not very generous with food, because we don't have very much, for one, and partially because we're an evil person living in an evil fortress. I haven't quite figured all this out yet. If any of you guys have any ideas for names, I'd be welcome to it. Just put it in the comments, because I'll definitely read all of them. And just anything you guys want to do. Any feedback, anything like that, I'm going to appreciate it. So just keep that in mind. As we finish off those circles on the ground, we come over to the main building again and kind of lay out how big we want that center spire to be. And if you guys can kind of see through the clouds, I'm laying out a smaller circle on top of the rounded square section, and then bringing up a one block kind of noob pole, whatever you want to call it, type thing, just to kind of plot out how high we want this to go. And I want it to be so high it actually goes out of the frame right here. Anyways, we build out how wide we want it to be, and that's going to be a circle which slowly narrows as it gets towards the top. Like if you've ever seen the Washington Monument, assuming you guys live in America, or even if you haven't, you've probably seen pictures. It's just a big obelisk type thing pointing to the heavens. Now, we pan around all this at the end just to kind of see what we've done this episode. So we do a very cinematic pan through the mountains and the forest surrounding our evil fortress. We fly through the trees, and you can see the sun off to the left illuminating everything, all the trees, the moving leaves, things like that. So if you guys stay with the series, I'll definitely try to keep things interesting, keep more innovations and the such with the series, or however far I plan to take this. This will probably be quite a few parts if I go all the way with it, which I plan to. And anyways, hopefully I'll see you guys next time with our next Let's Build an Evil Fortress as we do a barrel roll. You can see the chunks loading in the background. You can kind of see the island surrounded by lava as we pan over to there. Eventually we'll have streams of lava pouring out from where we've just come into the pit. As we do another... I didn't tell you to do another barrel roll there. What is this? Anyways, we pan out to our final glance at what we've set up so far in this episode of Let's Build an Evil Fortress. So I can't wait to see you guys next time. Please stay with the series, like, comment, favorite, subscribe, whatever you guys do. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and have a good day, evening, afternoon. Goodbye.